Hi, Alex from Stoic Conditioning. I've got another great question that's come through that's going to help out a lot of people. We get this commonly through our Q&A sessions, but also just in our private DMs as well. The question is, how important is lower leg strength training for performance and injury prevention at CTC? But this can be extrapolated to any basic entry course or entry course, or even just training for any selection course in general. So first of all, let's talk about what we mean by the lower leg. So that would be anything below the knee. So your calf, tibialis anterior, soleus muscles, gastroc muscles, even down into the ankle, foot, and your plantar fascia, all of that area. This is an area that is commonly injured, whether it is plantar fasciitis, whether it is rolling your ankle, whether it is shin splints, MTSS, anything like that, or calf injuries. This is a very, very common injury point for many people going into selection courses and basic training. A lot of the injuries that we see in this area are preventable as well. What we see is a lot of the injuries coming from increasing volume of running, in particular, too much, too soon. And the majority of injuries in general can come back to that equation of just increasing volume and increasing stress on the body that it has to adapt from too soon and too much. Your volume's too high, your time's too high. You're going from a couch to a 5K just straight away. You haven't done any running, and all of a sudden you're like, I'm going to do a 5-miler, and you wonder why your calves are blown up the next day. So what we want to do in approaching this training is really manage all of your training volume, manage all of your kind of output over the week and your recovery over the week. And then we can look into selecting exercises that are going to best serve that area of your body. So calf, shin, ankle, foot. When it comes to the foot, we've got intrinsic strength work, so intrinsic foot strength work that we can do, where we can do things like toe lifts, short foot drills, and even ankle dorsiflexion, plantar flexion, inversion, eversion drills, things like monster walks in our training sessions. That's going to really help bolster up your ankle, make it strong, make it robust, and make it mitigate any injuries that you might have in those areas, like rolling your ankle. We're never going to be able to prevent you from rolling your ankle on a piece of ground that's just come out of nowhere. But what we can do is make the area very strong and mitigate that injury so that your recovery isn't as long. You roll an ankle on a grade 2 tear, it might take anywhere between 6 and 12 weeks to recover. If you're strong and you're able to go into those positions and hold a lot of weight in those positions in an inverted ankle position, your grade 2 tear might just be a grade 1, and it might only take you 2 or 3 weeks to get back into training. So then if we move up the body and we go into your calf and your tibialis anterior, or the anterior shin part, calf raises, tib ant raises, these are going to be your bread and butter in this area. Make sure that you're doing them with straight legs, bent legs, toes in, toes out, making sure that you're varying up the volume that you're putting through it, the reps, the sets, and making sure that you're recovering. Now, this is a pretty hardy area, much like your forearms and your grip. You can do grip training almost every single day, depending, again, on the volume that you're putting through your hands. But with your lower leg, because we're on them all day, we can train them quite frequently. But if your frequency is very high, then your volume doesn't need to be that high because you're getting that stimulus day in, day out. Another common thing you need to be aware of when training this area is the plyometric nature of your lower leg. Strength training, slow tempo work, loading up your calves with heavy weight, going through tib ant exercises, these are all great, but you can't overlook the plyometric nature of your ankle joint and your knee joint, the ability to absorb force from the floor and then elastic or bounce back from that force. That's something that we need to incorporate into your training as well. Now, if you are recovering from an injury, something as easy as skipping or even just jumping up and down on your toes and monitoring that, doing 10 reps, 20 reps, how do I feel afterwards, 50 reps. You're looking at that ground reaction force and recovering from that. And that can go into one-legged skipping, bounding, depth jumps, broad jumps, lateral skater movements. All of that needs to be incorporated, especially if you're recovering from an injury, but even more so if you're trying to prevent an injury in that lower leg area. So don't overlook the plyometric nature of it. We hope that's answered the question. If you have any other queries about this, pop it in the comments section below or DM us and we'll always get back to you. From everyone behind Stoic Conditioning, wherever you are in the world, stay safe and we'll catch you on the next one.